The prices of fuel are way too high, so I bought myself a TDI. This car can run on alternative fuel, so I don't have to keep getting extorted like a fool. Now you might be asking yourself, who is this guy and why does this car smell like a French fry? Anyways, rhyme time is over. Let's get into the video. So I bought this car off Facebook Marketplace. I actually got a spare engine with the deal. Ended up paying $1,100 for it, not running. It had a compression issue, and I actually used Claude to figure out how to fix it. So initially the guy wanted $1,500 for this car and $1,500 for a second car that he had in the ad. So he had two Volkswagen TDIs, and I did not want to pay $1,500 for the car plus engine for a car that doesn't start. Didn't think that was a good enough deal, but I couldn't get an agreement out of him for just selling this car alone. So what I ended up doing was negotiating a two-car deal, one where I got this car plus the engine for $1,100, and my roommate Vlad, he got to get rid of two dirt bikes that were sitting at his shop that were pretty much junk to him. So I ended up negotiating a deal where we got rid of those two dirt bikes that were sitting there just rotting, and the seller got to get space in his driveway that this car and the Golf were taking up. And my roommate, he ended up getting a Golf TDI out of the deal as well, basically in exchange for nothing. Those dirt bikes weren't worth anything to him. So it ended up being a good deal for all three of us, or at least me and my roommate. Now let's get into rebuilding the engine, how I did it, and how I used Claude to do it. Well, hello and welcome back to another video. I have here yet another turd that I'm going to polish up and make nice, I guess. The paint is absolutely fucked. There was some old lady that decided that she wanted to be Bob Ross and paint this thing, so I'm gonna have to do something with the paints, but that's for another day. This thing only has 130,000 miles. It is pretty rare to find one with that low of mileage. Let's start tearing it apart and figure out what the issue is, if I even can. I've never done this sort of thing before, so let's figure it out. Alright, so from the YouTube videos that I've watched thus far, I need to check the timing. And in order to do that, I've got to drain the coolant, pop this off here, remove this, and this, and then I'll go from there. Alright, this is the part where I start taking shit apart, hoping that I can figure out where it goes back together at the end.
Full of I don't know. Tear it down, every bolt on the floor. Lose half the hardware, then tear off some more. If it spins or it bleeds, I just yank it free. Future me can sort out where it's supposed to be. My buddy swears he knows, but he's wrong as hell.
I do hope that you guys are not watching my videos as a how-to instructional, because to be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm watching how-to videos as I'm doing all this stuff. YouTube is my instructional resource. Anyways, so off camera I ended up pulling the cam out, and I did that because my roommate told me that the issue is more than likely these lifters or valves or whatever you call these things here. So I pulled the cam off, and turns out that there is nothing wrong with those, because these are hydraulic lifters or whatever you call them. Anyways, while I was down here, I started to get ready to pull the whole head off to figure out why there's no compression, and I figured out something pretty interesting. So this is the EGR, and take a look at that. Look at that. There's just no air, no access to any air through here. And then look at this intake manifold. Look at that. Look at how clogged that thing is. And so I hopped on Google and I asked Google, or Gemini, or whatever these AI bots are nowadays, and asked, could there be no compression in this car because there's no air getting to the cylinders or to the valves or whatever. And sure enough, that could very well be the case. So I think that there's my issue. I got a absolutely clogged intake, and since the intake is this clogged, more than likely some of the valves and pistons are probably caked with this shit too. So I'm gonna pull the whole head off and see what's down there and just get everything cleaned up, and I think that should be my issue. If you've ever removed the turbo from a Volkswagen TDI, then you know how painful this part here is. None of these bolts are visible. Had to get a mirror back there to be able to see what I'm doing, and I was in this bent over position with my knees locked for what felt like a week. Shout out to all the mechanics that do this for a living. Alright, so I got the turbo undone from the back there. It's not on the studs anymore. And I popped this thing off here, which was right down there. One of the pulleys or whatever this thing is. And I pried it off, and here it goes. Oh, I forgot to get this stupid hose off of it. Well, I don't really know what I'm looking at. All I know is it is quite filthy in here. And it's quite filthy in here as well. Yeah, just a bunch of soot is the main thing. Especially this one right here. Looks like there was actually a port to breathe through, but there's the EGR. The EGR was the worst. Or this valve here. So, gonna do the delete. And gonna make sure that the valves are all good and then clean all this out. That's the main goal. And then hopefully it'll run. So when I got to this stage, I was actually hoping to be able to easily find out what the problem was, but that was not the case. So I made a post on the only TDI forum that I had at the time, which was TDI swap trucks, pretending like I was gonna swap this into a truck, which I'll eventually do, I think. So don't blame me, guys. But anyways, a lot of people were instantly saying that the issue was not the intake, claiming that they have seen cars with more clogged EGRs than mine. And of course, you can't make a post on Facebook without getting an absolute retard to leave their opinion. And on top of retards like Claudio, there was retards like Travis, and there were people like Walter that were just telling me to take out a high interest loan and get this thing done right, which they have a point, but not with my budget in mind. But once I filtered out for retards and other people that were giving me extravagant advice, I came across people that were actually giving me the right advice, which was the valves. But this advice was mixed in with a whole bunch of other bad advice, so I didn't really know if I can trust them. So this is where I actually went to Claude instead, and I typed out the exact issue that I was seeing and what I was told by the previous owner. And surprisingly, from just one prompt, one question, Claude gave me the exact issue, exact thing to check, which was the valve stems and seats being too gunked up with soot. And fortunately, from the advice that I got from Facebook, I was able to actually put it to the test. And obviously, as you can see here, every single valve was leaking. So instead of lapping them, I actually went and pulled the head off of the spare engine that I got as part of this car deal, because I definitely don't know how to lap any valves.
Took the cover off and the valves were toast. Not one of them sealing, that's the part I hate the most. Too broke to lap them, too green to learn. Rob the parts car for a head that turns. No clue what I'm doing, same as every week. You choose my mechanic and we wing the technique.
Alright, so this is the stage where I didn't know how to actually get this timing all set up correctly, so called over Vlad the Russian mechanic, and he was able to get me all situated here.
I bend every valve, sweating on the timing marks, no room to be wrong. Called my buddy Vlad, he ain't a diesel guy, but two clueless fools beat one. line it up, lock it down, don't let the belt slip.
Alright, so I reached the stage with this project where it's time to install the intake with the EGR delete that I just got from China. And this is a kind of optional here, but I'm probably not going to put the EGR cooler back in either. So the block off plate is going to go here instead of here to where the cooler goes. That way I can just eliminate all these extra potential coolant leaks down the road and just get rid of all the gunked up, because the EGR cooler was clogged too. So, and that's one that's a little bit more difficult to clean out. So I'm going to install the race pipe. The block off plate is going to go right there, and then no EGR cooler, no extra junk that can leak down the line. So back to the time lapse we go.
Hold your lead, now the coolant's gotta flow. Cut out the T-tap, reroute the hose. Clamp it by clamping, getting into the groove. Greasy little funk while the radiator move. Hose it up, plumb it nice and neat. Coolant doing the boogie in the summer heat.
With the EGR cooler delete, I did have to replumb some of the coolant hoses here, making it to where they're no longer being tapped into.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray some starting fluid in there and try to keep it running while this thing primes. Where's the starting fluid? Just be prepared to shut it off if I have to yell stop. Давай, crank her over. Man, there's a lot of air coming out from this hose. It's just straight up air. I guess it might take a second to bleed. Woo! That's freaking gnarly.
Yep.
It's not leaking anywhere, so see, there's air coming up. Well, which is fine. Probably will take us. See, if you can imagine having to crank it for so long. We were just running it at such high RPMs, and there's still air in it. Yeah. Imagine having the starter to do all of that work. But you'll get all the air out and then go ahead and buy a new starter. We just did probably like 10 minutes worth of cranking it with the starter because it was running, you know. Yep. Is there diesel in it?
Yeah. Well, it's like a poured tank.
Man, it's strange because the air just keeps coming out. You think the fuel filter is just empty? Did you dump the fuel filter at all?
No, I didn't dump the fuel filter.
Interesting, because air just keeps coming out.
Basically, what happens is like one injector will have air, the others won't. That's what I was seeing in the video, and that's what they were doing. So
we can really easily test this right now. Just crack one open and see if anything sprays out of it. It didn't spray. Air came out of it.
That's what they were doing. They kept on cracking and.
Try cranking it over. You know what it was? What? Because the mass airflow sensor's plugged in, and and I disconnected this pipe. It's not reading any air. So, but it started, and it doesn't since I disconnected this pipe. Because you know this pipe goes to the turbo, out into the intercooler, out here. But I was spraying the fluid from here, and this was out, and now it's not reading the air. So it was just killing the motor. Well, you're in business. I'm just curious. Is this? Try starting it again. I'm just curious. I want to look at these bubbles. What's going on with them? They're going to disappear or?
Yeah.
It's not like, it should be just good clean airflow. It's almost like it's sucking air somewhere downstream. See that?
Yeah. Is that all air or is that shit coming out?
No, it's just air. It looks like shit. It's air. That's very strange. I hope this is tight. Actually, what if we loosen one of these up? That's one way to test which cylinder's misfiring. Yeah, it's acting up because of the air bubbles. After it sits for a few minutes, the injection pump kind of.
Alright, so on the last video, we got this thing started. However, there was an issue with the fuel lines causing a little bit too much air to get in. And so I asked Claude why that was happening, and basically told me there is an O-ring, which is right in there, that could be on its way out and therefore letting air into the fuel filter here. And then it also told me, after you address that, check the fuel lines for any kind of wear and cracking, etc. And I don't know if you guys can see in this video, I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of cracking in these lines. These are just old crusty lines. The fuel return lines were also old and crusty. They are just like falling apart when I pulled them off, so I had to get some new ones, biodiesel-rated ones, because this is going to be a biodiesel running car. So got a new fuel filter, this thing right here. Going to be replacing that. It came with the new O-rings, so I'm going to get those in there. I'm also going to be replacing these lines. Got some fuel line here that says it's rated for, says not for fuel injection systems, but ChatGPT told me that this stuff is going to be good. So let's get these fuel lines replaced and then the fuel filter replaced. And I also need to replace the motor mount because this is one that came off the extra engine that I got. But I also need to replace the motor mount because I stripped this one during the installation. Used an impact gun, which was the wrong thing to do, and cross-threaded and stripped these bolt holes here, these two bolt holes here. So it's an absolute pain to get in and out. So I'm gonna have to do this all over again. Can't wait.
Sparehead bolted, torqued her down tight. Down her engine guts, you're my Frankenstein tonight. And tape pipe on, clamped it hose by greasy hose. $1,100 and a prayer, here she goes. Bolt her back together. Junkyard diesel reborn in the garage light. She's gonna run again, fry oil in her veins. "20-year-old Jetta screaming back to life." Every line connected, every plug back in place. Grease up to my elbows and a grin on my face. No clue what I'm doing, YouTube as my coming together. Buckle up for the ride.
Alright, so this video has taken so long to make that I have since gone bald. And it's also been quite frustrating because I've been using Claude to edit the video. Back to the car. I have now put about 6,000 miles on it since I have rebuilt the engine. Runs good. There is something that I want to show you guys, which is the blow-by. The blow-by on this car is a bit excessive. Looking back, I probably should have rebuilt the whole engine like the Facebook trolls were saying. I guess they're not trolls at this point now, right? They had a good point. It was running great until I ran some vegetable oil through it, and that is going to be for the next video, converting this car to run off of vegetable oil. I'll show you guys in the next video as well, so make sure you subscribe and like so I can not go broke in the process of converting it to run on vegetable oil. Overall, it's been a decent car aside from the blow-by, and that blow-by is causing an oil leak, which is kind of frustrating. But I do have that spare engine. I think my plan will be to get that spare engine rebuilt with the injection pump rebuilt, and then drop the rebuilt engine into this later on. But in the meantime, just driving, just doing the job, getting to and from where I need to go.